We are learning to use direct speech too. Okay, so we're going to learn about what kinds of punctuation belongs in a sentence that has direct speech in it. So first we're going to look at this sentence. Alyssa said, "I want to go ride my pony." And we're going to have a look at what kind of punctuation is in the sentence. The first thing we notice, and we already know, that we have speech marks around the words that Alyssa's saying, but we can see some other punctuation that's been added in there as well. I can see that there's a full stop at the end, and I can also see that there's a comma here. So over the next slides, we're going to talk about those kinds of punctuation, where you put speech marks, where you put full stops or ending punctuation, and when you should put commas in a sentence with direct speech. So first up, we'll start with speech marks. We already know from the last video that when you're using speech marks, you put them around the words that the person is saying. You find the speech marks button in your keyboard by pressing the 1, 2, 3 button here. That will take you to the keypad that has numbers and punctuation on it, and you'll see your speech marks here. Now in New Zealand we use the double speech marks, we don't use the single apostrophe. So you need to be choosing this button here. If you don't know how to put speech marks in a sentence with direct speech, then you need to stop this video now and you need to go to the direct speech flip video before this one. So the next piece of punctuation that we're going to talk about putting in our sentence with direct speech is a comma. A comma's job is to separate chunks of information. So we've got two chunks of information in this sentence. Our first chunk of information is what the person is saying. Okay, so what they are saying. The second chunk of information is who's saying it. So that piece of information is here. Who's saying it? So we pop a comma in between our two chunks to separate them. So our comma goes right here. Alyssa said, comma, "I want to go ride my pony." So you might have a sentence that has the chunks around the other way, and that might look like this. "I want to go ride my pony," Alyssa said. So we still have the same chunks of information. We've got what the person is saying and we've got who's saying it. So what we need to do is we still put our comma in the same place. We want to separate the chunks of information. So what we do is we just put our comma here instead before the speech marks. So remember, you put a comma to separate who is talking from what they're saying. Okay, now we've reached the end of our sentence and we want to put some end punctuation. The example we used was a full stop, but we know that we don't always have to use full stops in our sentences. So, once again, Alyssa said, "I want to go ride my pony." We know that we need to finish that off with a full stop. So if we're going to put a full stop in, what we need to do is we need to put it at the end there after the speech marks. So the full stop goes after the speech marks. If we decided that we want a different kind of punctuation, like an exclamation mark at the end, then we need to think about what an exclamation mark does. So if we put an exclamation mark, that means that you should read the sentence a little bit louder, or it's like somebody might be shouting. If we put the exclamation mark after the speech marks, then it would be like telling the reader that the whole sentence should be shouted. Alyssa said, "I want to go ride my pony." But we don't want it to be said like that. We just want the words that Alyssa's saying to be a little bit louder. So if we have an exclamation mark, then we put it just here inside the speech marks. So you can see that in this sentence, the full stop goes on the outside. But if we want the words that they're saying to be a little bit louder, then we put it before the end of the speech marks. So the sentence would read like this. Alyssa said, "I want to go ride my pony," because we've got our exclamation mark there. Cool, so now we have a sentence with direct speech in it that has perfect punctuation. We have our comma to separate our chunks of information. Of course, we have our speech marks around the words that Alyssa's saying, and we also have some end punctuation in there as well. And the last thing that you have to remember is any word that your direct speech starts with must have a capital letter. Cool, so you're all ready to go away and start writing some beautiful direct speech in your writing.